Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unlocked Tuesday live stream. We are here live every single week. I'm bringing you tips and tricks and guest speakers and case studies and walkthroughs and all sorts of exciting things that are all things real estate. And today I have a very, very special guest who is a long time coming to be here on the live stream. We have our one and only Lizzi Ross. She is, if you look at her little title down there, Student Success Manager, and now can say, I am a real estate investor. So we are going to be looking at Lizzi's very first deal, where she found it, how she funded it, best practices, things to avoid, all the goodies about how she made this deal, her very first deal, come about. If you guys don't know me, my name is Jessie Lang, and I have founded Unlocked here. So thanks for being in our group. I teach people how to buy and manage long-term rentals on autopilot. And so if that's something that you are interested in, we're going to have a really, really cool opportunity for you here at the end. But first, let's turn it over to Lizzi if you want to do a quick little intro about yourself and kind of how you found yourself in the seat today.
Of course. I guess kind of long story short, I met Jessie through another networking event. I followed her on social media. I stalked her on social media for a really long time.
Not creepy at all. Not creepy.
Really, I wanted somebody to do a quote unquote real estate for dummies. I wanted somebody to really walk me through the process. And at the time she was doing her 90-day challenge to buy her first rental. And I reached out and was like, this is what I'm looking for. Is this what this program is? I became her student. I loved what she was doing. I was super passionate about it. She was very different from every real estate coach that I'd ever met. And we just got along really well. So obviously Jessie reached out and was like, hey, do you want to quit your longtime job and come work for a small business instead? And I was like,
it's going to be fun.
And so again, really passionate about what she was doing. So I dove in head first. I don't know, feet first. I don't know. And yeah, so we started investing here in November.
So there was some on-ramp to get all your ducks in a row. And I know you had some things to work out with your credit, things that you have helped our students with actually, which has been really valuable. Some different kind of money maneuvers and all that. But just when did you actually get all your ducks in a row and you were able to go out and start making offers?
Probably early October. Basically the day that we found out we had our capital and our credit in line, we were like, let's go.
Right. Yeah. So that was, you said October of this past year.
Yeah, of 2024.
Yep, October 2024. And we are in March. We can maybe say April. Okay, March, April. But you had the deal done early. So March 2025, that is 4 months.
No. Is it?
Yeah.
5 or 6, yeah.
Okay, 5 or 6 months. Hang out. 5 or 6 months.
5 months.
Okay, 5 months. We'll give 5 months. So you went from 5 months from not having a rental, but your ducks in a row, to having a fully renovated, rented out, refinanced project in 5 months.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was
How
great.
does that feel?
Phenomenal.
Does it feel real?
It feels like I don't want to say less exciting than I thought, but it was it was such an easy process that I was like, oh, this should not be as difficult as I thought it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And we hear that a lot. Everyone is trying to overcomplicate everything. You're like, well, what if I do these 5 different things, these different ways? And, there's a million ways to do everything. But what you did really, really well, and we'll talk about, is you took the plan and you followed the plan.
Yeah, it was great.
There's no need to overcomplicate it. So when you're not doing way too many things and trying to make it complicated, you can get through a BRRRR in 5 months, your first BRRRR in 5 months.
I mean, the full process was less than 5.
Right.
We can kind of talk about
Yeah.
the whole timeline if you want.
Okay, let's do it. So you were ready in October. When did you actually get this property in contract?
In contract, the deal was brought to us mid-October.
Okay.
We found it from somebody inside of our community that connected us with the deal, and then we closed within 2 weeks. So we closed November 1st.
You
So,
closed November 1st. Okay, good to know.
Yep.
Closed November 1st. And how did you pay for it?
We used a hard money lender that we also one of yours that we connected with through the community, and they funded 90% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab.
Yep, 100% of the rehab. I looked at this deal for Lizzie during one of our students like deal analysis calls, and she brought it in the calculator, and we'll pull up the calculator in a second. And I basically said, hey, if you don't buy this deal, I'm going to.
Which is exactly why we did it.
Yeah. So then she kind of was like, okay, well, tell me what to do. And, we told her what to do. So you bought it with a hard money lender. What did you do for your down payment? Because they're not covering 100% of the purchase.
We did use some of our own capital that we had.
Okay. About how much? Here, we'll pull up the calculator. Do you recall about how much you had as your down payment?
It was just under $15K.
$15K. So you got into your first rental with $15K basically out of pocket.
Yep.
Okay. $15K, y'all. If you're sitting there and you're like, wait a second, I have $15K, then let's definitely connect, because you do not need nearly as much money as you think you need.
Yeah.
How much would you have guessed that you needed before you were an investor?
I mean, before I met you and connected with you, we were looking at buying more like conventionally. And so some of the folks that we had connected with, we needed like close to 100K with everything all said and done. Because we also were thinking about like the renovations and things like that.
15K, 100K.
Yeah, I'll take the 15.
Yeah. Sounds like a no-brainer. So let's talk about the deal itself. It is in Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. It is in 43204, which is the hill. It's the hilltop, but there's many different parts of the hilltop all in that same zip. And I would say this is one of the cuter pockets.
Yeah, it's a really great area. It was one of the most like reassuring things about it was the house next door and like 3 houses on the same street were all being flipped and like fully renovated.
That's good. And then what happened? This didn't help you buy it, but what happened like a couple months later? Okay, so the house there, if you guys follow.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was on, what was it called?
This Old
House, a big Instagram page that shows like cool old houses for sale. And there was a really cute one on the same street that went up on this old house, and our house, you can see a sliver of it.
Little tiny sliver right there. Right there.
I was like,
I thought I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is on your street. How cool. Yeah. And so there's like really cool houses around it is kind of the summary here. Yeah. Okay. So it's a 3-1. You have a full basement, full unfinished basement, no garage. When you were getting it rented, did the garage have any impact on?
Nobody said anything. They toured it.
Cool. So a lot of folks, I see in your buy box, like, oh, I have to have a garage. Look at your market. A lot of neighborhoods or, houses in this neighborhood don't have a garage. So it ended up not being an issue.
Yeah. It has a long driveway too.
Yeah. Long driveway. So almost 1,300 square feet. That is a good size house. Just kind of high level. What's the configuration like?
It's a Cape Cod. So it has like a really big living space, a small like second living space. I guess you could use it as a dining room, a really cute kitchen. And then there's like almost like a little nook that you could either make into a really big pantry or a small office space that we really liked. 2 bedrooms are on the first floor, and then the whole 3rd floor is a 3rd bedroom, and then 2 walk-in closets, and then a bathroom.
Let me open. These are the original pictures. These are the before.
I have those.
Pull up the after. So we won't go through every single thing, but you can kind of, oh, you guys can't see my screen, y'all. Come on. You got to yell at me.
Sorry, I didn't even notice it.
How do I share this up? Okay, cool. So you guys, I'm not going to go through every single picture, but you can see that it's in decent condition. Lizzie, did you change the color?
Nope, we did keep that blue. I didn't hate the color. There was actually a couple other houses. The pictures definitely make it look brighter. But there were a couple houses on the street that had the same color, and there was even a very bright purple house. So it was like kind of
it worked.
It went with the neighborhood.
Yeah, it worked. So y'all can see that this is, I mean, it's a cosmetic, needed a full cosmetic. Bedrooms, paint and carpet. Did you do windows? I don't recall.
Nope, we did not have to. We had some things that we had to edit with the windows, or update with the window locks, but we did not have to actually do.
Okay. So these are, yeah, this is that little nook.
I don't know how to share my screen on here, so I did just send you the after picture.
Okay. Yeah, I can pull that up.
We redid the flooring. I can't remember if we painted the doors. We closed off the fireplace. All new lighting.
Yep. I'm pulling up the afters right now.
I think we painted the fireplace too, if I remember correctly.
When's the last time you were there?
Oh gosh, we did our punch mid-December, maybe.
Okay.
That was
so y'all look at the difference between the befores and the afters.
This
is the Cape Cod. It's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
And so these are, it looks like you painted the trim, got a new bath. Yeah. How much did you spend on this whole renovation?
The full reno ended up being under 34 because we ended up needing to do not only new roof, but we had to replace all that decking from the roof. So that was just like a little bit higher than we expected, but we had underwrote it at, I think, 30.
Okay. So went over a little bit over budget. They were doing the roof, uncovered some, there's the blue, uncovered some decking that needed updating, but I mean, this is it, right? Like, we're not doing too much here.
No.
So talk to me about, let me go back to your calculator. Talk to me about the actual renovation process. How did that all go for you?
It was really cool, I guess, because the deal was brought to us like on a Friday, mid-October. We reached out to the lender and the contractor on the same day, which I think was actually that Monday, the following Monday. And we were like, we're interested in this deal. Can we kind of start the process? The GC is one that we connected with inside of the Rentals Made Easy community. He walked the property with us. We got the scope of work back, I think same day, maybe the following morning. And then, so by Wednesday, we were, I guess, technically in contract. We already got pre-approved through the lender. And then we closed on it mid-afternoon on the 1st of November, and that was a Friday. The following Monday, the GC was there at 8 a.m. walking through, and he called and said, what are we doing here? Like, he already had the scope of work, but he wanted like finishes. And we already have a standardized finish list in the Rentals Made Easy group. So I literally just said, hey, we're going to do this standard package. He called us the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I think that was 3 or 4 weeks later, and said, can you send your appliances? We sent the appliances. And then 2 weeks later, he called us and was like, we're ready for punch. Like, come walk through. So pretty simple, easy, seamless process. Like, very hands off.
How much time did you spend on the renovation?
If you include the walkthrough, maybe 2 hours.
So you got some appliances. You said do what Jesse does. And you checked on it at the end. You did your punch list.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2-3 hours if with the punch walkthrough too.
I think that people get so hung up on the renovation, and they think it has to be this big elaborate thing. And this case study is part of our exit strategy series. And you just met John, who does midterm rentals. You met Sarah, who does short-term rentals. And we talked about making the property a wow factor. We talked about, the extras that you need to do for those types of exits. On a long-term rental, those are not the things you have to do. You do not have to pick accent walls. You do not have to upgrade your finishes. You need to provide clean, safe, functional housing.
Right.
That is it. If you're doing more than that, you are doing too much and you are losing money. I promise you that. So Lizzie was like, hey, we're not doing anything crazy. Do our standard package and make it clean, safe, functional, and let's move on, right?
Yep.
And took you a couple hours. You weren't agonizing over any decisions.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the actual numbers. So this was brought to you at 105. You guys did end up paying 105, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So she was able to give the wholesaler the full asking price. There was everyone's like, were you and the wholesaler so scary? It's not. It's a conversation, and that number worked, so they went with it.
Yep.
And when you underwrote this, what did you think the after repair value would be?
When I originally underwrote it, I actually thought it was going to be 170.
Okay.
Between 170 and 180. And then we underwrote it together during one of our coaching calls. And I think you kind of pushed it to like 180, 190.
And then what happened?
And then it appraised for 193.
Yep. 193. So Lizzie she underwrote at 170.
Mm-hmm.
Still worked. There was more money in the deal. Actual appraised value came back at 193. So that's what we want. You underwrote at 1,400, and what are you getting for rent now?
1,400. I think we could have gone higher, but with our first, and we were looking at rental comps, I didn't want to push the limit, and so we did 1,400.
Cool, 14. So if you guys don't know, this is our customer calculator. Her whole deal is underwritten in here, so we're just going to go through it together. So essentially, we get down to the buy. So your purchase was 105. Your lender covered 90% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab, up to 70% loan to value.
Yes.
If you guys want a copy of this PDF, let us know in the comments. Just say calculator and we'll get you a copy of this PDF. If you guys want the calculator itself, I'm going to provide you an opportunity at the end of this to get the calculator. But if you want just like the kind of PDF version of this, we can send it out after. So up to 70%, that's 94. You ended up borrowing 93 towards the purchase and 32 towards the rehab.
Yeah, right? We did have to pay, I think it was like $2,000 or maybe $3,000 out of pocket because of the decking that we had to replace in the roof.
Got it. Yep. So your loan amount covered $32,000 for the reno, but you actually were like 35, about 34, 35.
Just under 35, yeah.
Cool. 12% paid monthly. Lenders we connect you with are going to be interest-only payments. So paid monthly, $1,800 is in title and another $1,200 in lender, and loan costs, and 1.5 points. Is that because it was your first? Because I paid 1 point.
Yeah, because it was my first deal ever. We did do a little bit higher points.
Cool. So if y'all don't know, a point is basically equal to 1% of the loan, and it goes straight to the lender and oftentimes to the actual, the lender's rep. So the more experience you have, typically the lower points you can negotiate.
Yeah, they've already told me that our next deal will be better. So
awesome. So you would have saved $1,500, maybe a little less. Yeah. So you want to get lower points is the summary. You paid cash to fund the gap, which is your down payment. And on the appraised value came back at 193, 72% loan to value. Why is that? Why wasn't it 75?
That was I think the limitation that we got with the rent.
Got it. So
DSCR 1,400. Even though it appraised for higher, we could only do 72 because of the DSCR.
Okay.
We could only borrow up to 140.
Up to 140. Got it. So you have a 30-year note on the refi. So she bought it with hard money. She renovated it with a GC that the lender covered that cost other than $2,000. She went out and got it rented on the market for $1,400, and then comes back to a long-term lender and says, hey, how much will you loan me against this property? So in that scenario, it appraised for $193,000. The lender said, we'll give you 72% of this appraised value. Now that 72% goes towards paying back the $140K loan value goes towards paying back your purchase, paying back your down payment, paying back your holding costs, paying back your renovation costs, paying back everything that you have paid so far. Mm-hmm. Cool. Interest rate, 7.38. It's not the end of the world by any means, and we'll see this deal still cash flows, but that's about where rates are right now. Is that a reason to not buy real estate? It is not.
Yeah. And they told me that I could have gotten it down a little bit more if my credit was up 2 points.
No.
And I'm not going to lose sleep over 2 points. Like, let's just go for it. So,
2 points on.
Yeah.
So that could have been a little bit lower. We're currently seeing students get DSCR loans like high 6s. So yeah, high 6%. And as we're going through this, you guys, there's quite a few of you on, and that's awesome. Thank y'all for being here live. If you have any questions or don't understand something, please let us know in the chat and we'll definitely get it answered for you. So,
sure.
And you added up your closing costs, you added up your loan costs. So, there's another $4,500 on the refi side to get this closed. You paid another point, right? That's part of the
refi.
Yeah, part of the refi. That lender's got to be paid as well. And then this is just some seasoning and DSCR requirements. So this is your actual insurance. This is your actual taxes. These taxes feel high.
Franklin County just got their reevaluation. So this was the new one.
This is the updated. Okay, cool. Good. So what are we looking at here? So she had about $16K out of pocket on the purchase, and that came, from her own cash reserves. And then about $1,200 a month in the interest for that loan on the purchase.
Yep, $1,260 exactly.
$1,260 exactly. There you go. And so based on the dates of how long you held this money, your total interest expense was $3,800.
Yep.
So if I ask you, Lizzie, would you borrow, how much did you borrow total?
125.
Yeah. 126. So if I, you walked into the money store and I'm the cashier and I said, Lizzie, how much would you pay to borrow $126,000 from me? Would you pay, it's going to cost you $3,800.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a question you guys got to ask yourself. So many people get caught up. $3,800. It's like, well, you borrowed $126,000. Is that worth it to you? That's the question.
Right.
So, yes, it was.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000%.
Yeah, exactly right.
No question.
Okay. No question. So now we get to the renovate section. Once you add in not only your interest expense, but also your holding costs between taxes, insurance, utilities, she was about $1,700 a month out of pocket. This is why you move fast. This is why that timeline is so important, right? Mm-hmm. We're not dragging this out for a year with it's unoccupied. All right. So you had throughout the project, outside of the money you already had down, another about $5,500 out of pocket to cover those holding costs. Yep. So you were what we call rent ready for $148K. That is all of the expenses that have gone into getting this property. You guessed it, rent ready.
Yes.
Yeah. So 148. And then what this is saying is that, she had her down payment, she had some money out of pocket at the time of refi, is actually getting money back in her pocket. You got money back. Yep. So you were able to reimburse yourself for some of the money you had in the deal. But Lizzie, was this a perfect BRRRR?
Not technically, no.
Not technically. Okay.
There's money in the deal.
There was money left in the deal. Now we're going to talk about some of the mindset on this. Okay. So you have about 14K in this calculator, 14K left in the deal.
That sounds about right.
Okay. So would you go out and buy a turnkey property rented at market value for $14,000?
$1 billion%.
1,000,000,000%. You hear that? So if you have 13, 14, 15, even maybe 20K to leave in a deal, and you're thinking, is the BRRRR method right or is conventional right? Let's kind of run through real quick if you had purchased this conventionally. Okay. If you bought it turnkey. So say it was already renovated, it already had a market rate tenant, and it appraised for 193.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're going to put 25% down, which is what a lender is going to require on a DSCR, so 193 times 0.25, that's $48,000 out of your pocket versus 14,000.
Right.
Which one are you going to do?
Probably the latter.
Yeah. When you buy your next one, and we'll talk about buying your next one, what kind of property will you be looking for?
Definitely the BRRRR.
Yeah. So distress asset, under market value.
Plus, like with this one, we actually, because we did the renovations ourselves, we like know what was fixed and what wasn't fixed. So I don't have to worry about like a roof for the next 25 years. I don't have to worry about all of these things that, you know, I would have to worry about with a turnkey property.
Right. You know who did the renovation if something goes wrong, and you know what was done, you know it was done up to your standards and all that.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, the best part about all of this, Lizzie, how much equity do you have in this property?
We have like, that says 54. So yeah, between like 54 and 53, 54K. So
Yeah.
I mean, no brainer.
So even after all is said and done, you have a cash flowing asset. There is, you have 14K of that is your money. You forced $40,000 in value, but you have $54,000 that if something went wrong in your life, you have an asset that you can sell. If worst case, I say hold forever if you can, but you have something you could sell and take care of whatever's going on.
Right. Exactly.
Do you sleep a little better at night?
I sleep a lot better. And I think it was like one of the coolest parts of it was we did like a net worth exercise with a financial planner, and they were like, no, that counts towards your net worth. And like, we could, I don't know, it was just kind of cool to hear those words being used to describe myself.
Yes, you're someone with a net worth, and that comes from property ownership.
Yeah. So
yeah, very cool. So created 40,000, but has $54,000 just sitting in a reserve in this property, should you ever need it. And then so at 1,400 rent, you have some repairs, you have some vacancies. This is not an absolute cash cow. There's no doubt about that. Rates are high right now, but even after reserves, you're still bringing in 80, almost $100 a month. Yeah. Now, what's going to happen over time? So let's look at this projection. This is day one. Okay. 82,000, 54K in equity. What happens at the end of year 5 if your rent increases 3% a year? Okay. We're now at $220. Again, still not earth shattering.
Right.
It's not going to change your life.
But I'm not going to turn it down either.
Yeah, not going to turn it down. Exactly right. Your equity position has essentially doubled from 54,000 to 106K.
And all I'm doing is, and I'm not even going to do really anything to this, hopefully.
Nothing. I mean, you'll have maybe a couple turnovers, but hopefully not even. 5 years passed like in a blink of an eye, y'all. Think about 5 years ago. And I mean, it was like, if you can believe 5 years ago was COVID, that's wild. Yeah.
And so last week.
It does feel like last week. And so let's look at like 10 years. So we're now getting into like, actual, like, this cash flow is substantial. You're not just going to do all of this and set up this machine and buy one property. You're going to buy 5, 10. We'll talk about your goals, but you're going to build a portfolio that in 10 years, they're all bringing in $400 a month. Okay. In 20 years, They're bringing in $750 a month at an incredibly modest rent increase, plus $300,000 in equity.
Wow.
Wealth comes from holding. Wealth comes from holding. If you want to get rich quick, and that's not even true. If you want to get rich quicker, go flip some, go wholesale, right? They're highly taxed. They are, very active, or go do 10 of these, go to sleep for 20 years. Of course there's some, but this is like retire. You can literally retire off of 10, 20 properties.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah. Okay. So Lizzie, what was throughout this whole process, what would you say has been your biggest challenge?
Oh gosh. Screening tenants was like for a minute there, but that was more on a personal level. For those who don't know, as this project became like rent ready, I gave birth. So I was like out for a while. So like that was, I guess, the challenge of like trying to recover while doing this simultaneously.
Yep. Yeah, totally. But you have had a good team and good support and people to help.
Yeah, we had amazing support. We did our due diligence. We didn't just try to like get emotionally involved or be like, I don't want to deal with this. Let's just put somebody in. We had a great resident who ended up moving in. The biggest challenge, I mean, I guess our challenge, I guess, is kind of looking into the future of like what our next steps are.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I know you have a goal this year of
1.25 is our goal.
1.25. Okay. Well, the news for you, baby, is that you got this quarter ends in like 4 days. So,
all right, 2 in April, 2 next quarter.
Okay, 2 next quarter. I mean, this one counts this year. If you maybe are counting when it came into service.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So you got one down. What's your plan to go out and find the next one?
We're kind of exploring different options. Right now, we're considering private money lender and kind of trying to create like a win-win situation for somebody else.
Lizzie, do a little wink, wink to the audience.
Yeah, wink, wink. If anybody wants some good terms, we can talk. And then we're also, my wife and I are actually looking into potentially doing a HELOC on our personal home and kind of leveraging the equity that we have access to, and grow from there.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you feel like after you've done your first one, do you feel like more is possible?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think like once the opportunities present themselves, it's like unlimited.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, you guys, you heard throughout this entire case study, Lizzie saying, I got this from the community. I got that from the community. I was unsure here. I asked this question. Jesse connected me with X, Y, and Z. I didn't have to think or stress or really like lose sleep over all of these decisions. So if that is something that sounds nice to you and you want to get into real estate, but you know that you don't want to figure it out by yourself, I am hosting a workshop directly after this at 3:00 Eastern. So you have time for a little break, go grab a snack, and come back at 3. We are going to drop the link to join that workshop. It's live, it's private, it's with me. I'm going to break down this method in a lot more detail, and I am going to show you exactly how you can do just what Lizzie does. Plug and play, 5-month turnaround, 4 months from purchase, 4-month turnaround, as many rentals as you can get under your belt. Let me show you how to do it. So join our workshop today. If you want this PDF, just let us know PDF in the comments and we'll get that over. And Lizzie, any final words?
My hope for anybody in the audience, like biggest takeaways, is I have sat in the audience for so many years and been like, well, I don't have a ton of money. I don't have, even great credit at the time. And this was possible for me still. It took a lot of work, but like, if you're willing to put in the work, like literally anybody can do this. So I just hope that's everybody's biggest takeaway.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for definitely showing us what's possible. And I will see a bunch of you at 3:00.
Woo-woo.
Cool. Thanks, Lizzie.
Yeah, of course.